leadership some way. And about 15 years ago, DREs, when we were in the conference, were struggling with the mission of religious education. What does it mean? What is it about? How does it impact the chaplaincy? And out of that came sort of a symbolic way of keeping that mission alive in the core, among our DREs, and the idea of a mantle, much like the images of Elijah and Elisha, where Elijah asked Elisha what he would want, and Elisha asked for a measure of his spirit, and the mantle is passed. So it's a symbol of the mission of religious education. That's what it is. It's not really a special power, but it's a mission of religious education. It's not given to the person who is the highest ranking. It is given to the person with the most current experience as a religious educator. There are 3 names on this to this point: Mr. Charlie Spears, Steve Casey, and myself. And Randy is next in line to receive it and to hold it until the next person. You find the line here too. Okay. So it's just a simple ceremony. But what I would like, and I'd like my DRE colleagues to come up and together let us go ahead and retire to. Work every day.
He had 2 jackets on, and he was painting the house. And it was July. He said, "Oli, what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I looked under directions on the can, and it said put on 2 coats." So as Sven was getting ready for his long trip to Minneapolis, he was worried about the truck work and doing all the checks. And so he said, "Oli, can you help me out? I want to check the blinkers. Are you ready? Yeah? Okay, they working? Yeah? No? Yeah? No? Yeah? Yeah?"
You're on a roll. Keep going.
Finally, Oli and Sven were going ice fishing. And Oli pulled out his new prize. He said, "Lena, give me this new thermos." And I'm so thankful for it. And Sven says, "Well, what's the thermos for? It's supposed to keep the hot things hot and keep the cold things cold." He goes, "Oh, well, what'd you put in there?" And he says, "Well, I got in there 2 cups of coffee and a popsicle." Laughter is good medicine for the soul, and I am really going to miss you guys. You have been good for my soul. Let us pray. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. You walk with us all our days, even in times of change. You are God, and we trust in you. We thank you for Dr. Dennis Scheck for his consistent example.
I probably ramble anyway, but this will help me keep on track. I come up here just, the only thing I can feel is real humility and thanks for everything everyone has done, everything everyone has said, even the attempts at humor. We're really appreciative of everything that you've done. All the people who participated in getting it and it's ready. Jeff and Jamona, Mike Swindler, Eva, and the staff, Glenn, especially those who travel. Randy, I really do appreciate you coming all the way from. Appreciate it. So I promised Mike Swindler that I'd only tell about 1 or 2 stories for each year of military. So are you comfortable? Hopefully it won't take too long. But you know, I have to begin, you already know, and I have to begin where my life starts, and that's with my confident confidant, my mentor, my best friend, who happens to be my wife, Maggie. Truth is, it's, you don't get me without her. I am because of her as well. Her mother didn't want us to go to Colorado. Well, I guess it was okay for me to go to Colorado, but she didn't want Maggie to go to Colorado. But we did go and built our family there, our home there. I as the DRE for Carson, and Maggie is preschool director, DRE, volunteer coordinator, graduate student, and finally a published and successful psychologist and family therapist. Things were going great, and then I decided that it would be great to be a regional DRE. And without second thought, Maggie agreed that we would go, and she set her practice aside, and we went first to Georgia, and then to Virginia, and then on to Texas. I can truly say without Maggie, we wouldn't be here. And very proud of our children, Jennifer, Timothy, and Alicia. They've had a unique childhood. They grew up like military kids. I mean, they went to chapel, they went to the VBS, they were acolytes, they went to changes of command, they lived their lives with many military families and gained so much from that experience. In fact, Alicia's a military wife today. The day we brought Jennifer, our oldest, the first time to chapel, we didn't see her the entire service. We sat down, and the commanding general's wife, in those days the commanding generals went to chapel every Sunday. The commanding general's wife asked to hold her, and she passed her to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. Each blessing that maybe she held. Jennifer was that child, and those of you who have children and have had offices, she was the child that rearranged my office every Sunday. She would come in and clean out my desk drawer and do all those kinds of things. She was a youth leader of the youth, and then actually the youth contractor for a while at Fort Carson. Today she's a senior human resources executive at Focus on the Family, and she is the mother of our granddaughter, Lee. Tim, our middle child, had all the best qualities of being a little boy, but he had some of the least desired qualities as well. And he didn't sit very well. It was very difficult to keep him in a Sunday school class. I spent a lot of time trying to locate where he was during that time when he was supposed to be in Sunday school. But he was quite an explorer. By the time he had grown into a teenager, he had been to the very top of the chapel tower, and through the tunnels underneath the floor of the nave where the utilities were. He had been everywhere. He had been places that no one had ever been before. So he knew the facility. His favorite thing to do, though, was, in order to avoid me, because I was out in the hallway, was to climb the willow tree in the backyard of the chapel and get up on the roof of the education wing where he would hide out on the roof of the education. Today he's a middle school computer and robotics teacher. And believe me, those middle school kids don't get away with anything because he has all done it before. He and his wife Audrey are parents to two of our grandchildren, Emily and Alexander. And, we love them very much as well, of course. Alicia, who's here today, our youngest, for a very long time was my battle buddy. She would come, Maggie at the time was the DRE at Peterson Air Force Base, and she and I would go to chapel, and we had our little tradition of going to McDonald's every Sunday and getting our burrito, breakfast burrito, and going. We did for a while. We had a donut thing going for a little while, and one of our friends came with us one Sunday and ate a dozen donuts in the car on the way from the donut shop to the chapel. But and today she has an interest. She's here. She's going to get a book published soon, and her husband Cliff was recently commissioned second lieutenant in the Air Force. And they are up at Goodfellow Air Force Base, just up the road here, about 3 hours, which we're really glad to have them close by. And Alicia and Cliff are parents to Johnny, who has joined Grandpa's Lunch today. So we're really happy to have Johnny with us today. Now, I've known many chaplains, chaplain assistants, Army families, DREs, civilians of all kinds over the last 4 years. But the one constant joy has been my family, and I can't thank representing them today. I can't thank you much. I love you much for what I've been able to do because of you. I really do appreciate that. Now, as you might imagine, and some of you can remember, but as you might imagine, 40 years ago things were a little different again. The duty uniform was something called fatigues. And the Class B uniform was khaki in color. I remember that the very first thing that I had to do, was actually ordered to do, when I came to work at Fort Carson in September of 1975. The first thing was not to get my ID card and not to get my car registered, certainly not to do a background check. The first thing I was ordered to do was to take the book and hands-on training so I could get my 16mm projector operator's license. Because you could not even check out, of course, chapels never had them, but you couldn't check them out until you had a license to operate a 16mm projector. So, but and the training didn't stop there. Those days there was great training for DREs. I got sent to a TDY for New Technologies in Religious Education. And the first thing they taught us was how to take magazine articles and laminate them so we could use them for teaching in classes. And then I took just like now, and then I took a class called New Innovations with Felt Boards. Now, you remember the last time you were in a classroom and you little kid comes in, Sally, look, we've got flannel board today. Now, I have to say that the Army has been very good with training and providing many opportunities for growth for all of us who are here and all of us in the military. But those were interesting days. Chaplains have always been a great source of amusement.
Me too.
There was Father McNeely early on in my career, and he invented something called the disco mass. I don't know what that.
Gotta demonstrate.
What that was. I don't know what that was, but anyway, that's what he did. And he was known for using interesting sermon illustrations. He actually had an object that he placed under that seat where the general sat as a sermon illustration, and it was designed to look like a bomb. Oh. Now that could be a problem today. We had Trash Sunday where they would bring in newspapers and old tires, and I'm not sure what the message was, but we had it. So we hope that's well. And then, of course, there was Christmas Eve. Now, many of you have maybe had this experience that we had, but on Christmas Eve, you always had the live donkey who would take Mary and the baby up the center aisle at the proper moment. Joseph standing, walking next to them. And, you know, we did this for years until one Christmas Eve, sometime between the children's mass and the candlelight service, somebody fed the donkey.
It wasn't us.
Must have been Reed. I think. And of course the donkey, you know, dropped his gift before the wise men did. So that was the end of that. No, I've known many chaplains. I had 14 garrison chaplains at Fort Carson. Just think about that. I had 14 different garrison, and I've known great pastors and great soldiers, and a few really great leaders. And you know, their support and leadership has, you know, it's axiomatic. I love to say that word. It's axiomatic. The chaplaincy is about chaplains, and they're important. They're a key leadership role. So what this is about, the support of the chaplains and the chaplaincy. But I just need to say thank you to all of them, those who I've known for many years and some not so long. Thank you for your support. I also was afforded the opportunity to do lots of different things in all these years. And for a time, the chaplain and I had a weekly call-in radio show. It was on a local, I don't know, maybe 10 watt, maybe 50 watt FM station. That's little, very little. And it operated out of an 8 by 10 foot hut outside the back gate of Fort Carson. Yeah. You remember something? Remember that? It was a little FM station. Well, we had a call-in show, but the problem was nobody ever called in. And so, after a while, we got tired of, posing questions for people to call in, and we realized they never were going to call in. It was kind of sad after a while. So I decided, maybe we needed to turn it into a soap opera.